So we're in Daniel 7, and it's confusing as it can be. I understand that. So I'm going to try and go through it without reading the Bible, just explaining what's going to happen here. What's going on in this chart. So we've got different kingdoms. So this is the oldest. Finally, Jesus is going to reign. And so we go through these. There's four that are mentioned particularly as parts of a statue and as different beasts. So Babylon, the Medes and the Persians, the Greeks, and the Romans. Now, everything from here down, that's history. So that has been done. So we've read about King Nebuchadnezzar. We've read a little bit about the Medes and the Persians when Darius the Mede took over. Greece, the kingdom of Greece happens with Alexander the Great. That's like 323 BC when he dies. His kingdom is split. Well, the Bible, we'll see Daniel talked about the king of the north and the king of the south. When Alexander's kingdom, when he dies, four generals that he had take over his kingdom. Alexander didn't have a son to give the kingdom to. So the ones to the east and the west, presumably, we don't have to worry about. But there's one to the south, Ptolemy. So it's considered Egypt modern day. That's where he was in charge of. Then we have the king of the north, and that was Seleucid. And think of modern day Syria for that. Now these two kingdoms fought with each other constantly, and Israel's right in the middle of those two. So they're trampling back and forth for a couple hundred years, trying to get control. And then Rome takes charge from them. So the Greek kingdom gives way to the Roman Empire. And that's when Jesus comes. And so that is when, that's the history of these four kingdoms in the past. But in the future, we're going to have a new Rome come. So in the first vision, we see that as iron and clay, 2 feet with 10 toes, representing 10 nations. In Daniel 7, we see those same 10 nations, but here they're horns of this Roman Empire. So that's what we've seen in these two visions. Now, Antichrist is going to come and take power away from New Rome. So there's going to be a new Greek king of the north. So there was a king of the north in the past. There's going to be from Syria this king of the north, and he's going to take over the new Roman Empire. So this Roman Empire is not going to end. It's going to be in existence these 7 years. But this king of the north is going to take over, and that's going to be the Antichrist. And there was in history Antiochus Epiphanes. So way back down here we had an example of how he's going to be. And that it's just a horrible history of what he does to the Jews. He wants to get rid of any sign of Judaism at all, which is Satan's thing. He's been trying to wipe out the Jews forever. But that's what he's going to do. He's not going to be content trying to wipe out the Jews. He's going to also try and kill all the Christians. But he's going to be stopped. So that great tribulation period is going to come to an end. Let's look at this other chart. 7-year peace treaty. That's the kingdom of Rome. So the revived Roman Empire comes up under Rome 3.5 years. That's a peace treaty. Now, that Seleucid king is going to take over. He's going to put down 3 kings, and there's still going to be 10 kings, so I guess he's just going to replace whoever he had. But for this period of 3.5 years, that's the Great Tribulation. That's when this last king of the north comes. Then God the Father says, that's it. You are done. You're not dead yet, but I'm taking away your power. I'm going to now be the one that destroys. So you, Antichrist, and your Roman Empire, and your Seleucidness, you wanted to kill the Christians. Now God's going to take out his vengeance and say, I'm going to squash those that tried to kill my people. So this is a period of probably of 75 days. We'll get to that in the last chapter of Daniel. But God the Father will start. He will actually come to earth during this last plague. And that's when the mountains shake. That's when we have the thunders, lightnings, and voices. This is going to be an Exodus 19 type of thing where God gave the commandments on Mount Sinai. So everything just shakes. You can read in Psalm 29 how the trees split. It's a scary time. When God the Father comes, you shake. So when he comes down, then Jesus is going to follow him in the clouds of heaven. So when God comes, he's in a cloud. Jesus is going to come in those clouds. He's going to bring hail. That's what he's going to squash these people with. This last plague in the book of Revelation we saw 7 times. And now we see God talking about that here. When Jesus comes to God the Father, he's going to be given the kingdom and he's going to reign for 1,000 years on earth. His kingdom is going to be an everlasting kingdom. So although this earth will end, there's going to be a new heaven, a new earth, and Jesus is going to reign over that forever.